Em Portugal, utilizamos a designação literacia fílmica. E a palavra literacia não foi inventada pelos britânicos, como os franceses às vezes pensam e repudiam a palavra literacy, porque it's a British thing. Não, é latim, literacia vem de litera e indica aquele que é letrado, aquele que conhece as letras, ou seja, aquele que detém conhecimento. O que não é a mesma coisa, ou exatamente a mesma coisa, que a designação utilizada em Espanha e no Brasil, Amanda, alguns, não? Que utilizam alfabetização. Alfabetização é uma palavra muito carregada de didatismo. Okay? E o grande Paulo Freire mostrou-nos que há muito mais de pedagogia, nomeadamente pedagogia da libertação, pedagogia da autonomia, pedagogia, enfim, do nosso enriquecimento, se aumentarmos o significado da alfabetização para significarmos literacia. Ou seja, há gente alfabetizada que nunca chega a ser letrada. E há gente profundamente letrada que nunca foi alfabetizada. E neste campo dos média, isso acontece muito.
The target group of I is everyone, so that's quite tough. So we try to kind of make a smaller definition of the target group for the educational department, although this is still quite broad. Within our learning strategy, well, I already told you, we find it very important that we use a combination of watching, making, talking about it, the debate, and so to combine all sorts of methods. Also, the circulation of learning is very important, and this triangle shows a bit how we think about how we organize our projects. So the lower level, it shows how we think about how to reach a large group of people. We create low-key, fun-based projects, so it's easy, accessible for everyone. Then we want to go a little bit deeper into the film studies, and this is more for more interested people, so it's a smaller group we reach. And then, of course, we have the experts, which you can get out of these two layers, and the experts are the ones who are really motivated, who want to be a filmmaker or who want to be a film journalist. So it's graduate. And actually we use the experts again to teach the ones in the lower level. So it's peer-to-peer education. And we always start from their experience, from their perception, and that's why it's really necessary to work together with them. We made a little clip for teachers, mainly, to talk about what film education is and why it's valuable, because it's not really something teachers already think. Film is not a part of the curriculum, and we try to persuade teachers to do something with film within other subjects like history or languages. But I think it's also good to just show them why it's so important.
We boiled down what we found into those 5 questions. Why would we do film education? Aims and purposes. What strategies are there in place in different countries, and what kinds of provision? Where does it happen? How is it funded? How is it assessed? And who are the main providers and who are the main recipients? There's a question for you, but I don't think we've got time because
Oh, you've got some minutes.
I've got 10 minutes?
No.
Some minutes. Okay. So here's a question for you.
Let's say 5.
To spend no time at all on, but in a different forum, I might say, talk with the person next to you about what a strong model of film education in a country would include. So just as a way of thinking, what kinds of aspects and dimensions of film education are important enough to be represented in a country, a small or a large nation. So what we did was that we took all of our findings and we turned them into an ideal type or a perfect model of film education, which doesn't exist anywhere, but aspects of it exist in many different countries. So creating something which would look like the strongest model of film education that's possible. Can I just have that bit of water?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so hey? So here's just 2 slides on those features, those characteristics. So we found that in a very strong national film education programme, there would be coordination across all of the important sectors. So the Education Ministry, the Cultural Ministry, if there is one, the film education sector, the film industry, and broadcasters. There would be a strong degree of coordination. And the coordination may be best with a national strategy or a national strategic plan. Underpinned by an entitlement on behalf of everybody in the country to become literate in the moving image. A strong model of film education, part of a wider national film culture. And we found, not surprisingly, that film education is a reflection of the film culture of each country. So it's very strong in Scandinavian countries and it reflects film culture there. French film education is a very strong mirror of its own understanding and appreciation of film culture. We found that the informal sector should be valued as highly as the formal sector, and that's very often not the case. We found that evaluation of film education should be strong and independent and critical in the strongest way. That there would be high levels of participation from many people and sustained over a period of time. Often what happens is that there are low levels of participation from small numbers of people and only for short projects.
Picking up on a point that Mark made, how can we actually develop a sustained approach to film literacy activities as opposed to them being a 6-week project, an 8-week project, a 2-week project? Some research done by the BFI a few years ago by Kerry Bazalgette showed that suddenly kind of parachuting in a filmmaker for a week to work with children and young people, within 3 weeks the children and young people had forgotten about it completely. It was a nice event, but did it have any impact? No. Also picking up on Mark's idea, what would an ideal project look like? And a key thing I think for this conference, because it was one of the focuses of yesterday, does film literacy and audience development go hand in hand? Is a film literate person necessarily part of the audience for the future, and how does that fit into a European perspective? So a few critical questions. I'm conscious of time. What do we mean by critical practice? What theories might we use in approaching a critical approach to film? Lots of approaches there. And how do we ensure that in developing critical practice we don't destroy the enjoyment of film? It's the age-old kind of adage that, and I know this as an ex-English literature teacher, I probably ruined more children's interest in literature than the number of kids that I actually encouraged. So we need to bear that in mind. And if we are talking about a critique of film, what are the constituent parts of that? Are there concepts? Is it about film narrative? Is it something that's emerged? Or is it about film narration? Is one about analysing the narrative structure, or is it about looking at the way that a story is actually told in a filmic way? or are they both part of the same thing? Are we talking purely about aesthetics, film as film? Or are we bringing socio-economic, political ideas? Are we talking about teaching through film? Is there a way of combining those two? And the key thing that we're obviously facing is that formal education and informal education. How does informal education instill some sort of critical practice, or does it choose not to? Is on one or the other more of a focus on the aesthetic and one on content? As I say, how can we merge the two? Now, the creative really opens up a can of worms to me. There seems again to be a divide between creative practice, which believes that it is giving children and young people a set of skills, whereas there is another kind of camp that says, you know, actually no, it's them just exploring their own creativity, it's just them telling their own stories. We don't want to give them skills. They'll find the skills themselves. It's inherent within them. I don't know.